Alright guys, welcome back to Rome Reviews. I'm Rome, and this is the Oppo Find N5, the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro. The global version. This is the Chinese version, and of course, that's the only version there is of the Fold 9, the 9 Pro Fold. So, jumping into this, I want to say that I'm going to be doing this video in two pieces, but in one video. It's going to be a comparison, but also a wish list for like my perfect foldable device. Because each phone brings something to the table that I really like about it, while they also have things that I don't like about them. So, we're going to jump right into these. And I had to use my Vivo X Fold 3 Pro as a shelf, I should say, for these devices because as soon as I move it, the 9 Pro Fold starts sliding for some reason. So that's why the Fold was there holding that up. Anyway, jumping into these, I guess I'll start with the overall design and then go into software and cameras and so on and so forth. So overall design, my perfect design, let me bring these down here a little bit. Space them out a little bit. Okay, so my overall design, I am going to have to put the Pixel 9 Pro Fold in third on this piece because while Google made a huge jump in hardware and so on and so forth with the device, it still feels like it is lagging behind the other two. You can see, like, I have my screen protector on here, and let's see. Oh, I just restarted this phone actually. Hold on one second. All right, so you can see that the screen protector actually covers the actual screen, the display area of the screen. Everything else is bezels. And then even over to the left of the screen, you see the hinge area over here. And it's there. I just feel like there's a lot of wasted space on the cover display of this device. And I just don't understand. I know there's a hardware layout in this device that's maybe the culprit of that, but just want to say that that's why I'm putting this one in third because the overall design, even the back of the device, I'm gonna put my finger here because it's gonna slide, is not my favorite amongst the three. Now I know that the other two have the huge camera module in the back, circular camera module, but they just look so much better than this what's the word that people are using, the squircle, where it has these really rounded edge, but it's like a rectangle, like a square rather, with the two peel. It seems like, I feel like it feels like Google was finding their identity with this device, where they had the visor on their fold, even on the first fold and their Pixel device, they had their visor, and they just had a unique look to it. And then they went and did this camera module. I don't know what happened there. Like I said, once again, I'm sure it's hardware layout and there's a reason behind that, but I just felt like this device lost its identity. Now, the other two, I really feel like I'm going to go with Oppo on the back simply because they did something with this camera module that makes this one really stand out to me. It just makes it look really elegant and premium. And then Vivo will be in second place. So third, second, first as far as the back goes. And I would even put them in that order as far as the front goes as well. One second. Let me turn these all back over. All right. So as far as design goes itself, you know what? These are gonna tie to me because even on front of both devices, the front display. Let me unlock, and I'll get into this thumbprint reader thing as well. It's so weird. But anyway, I would say a extremely large portion of the front area of these phones are mostly screen, which I really appreciate. I really love that. But anyway, yeah, I really have grown to appreciate this. Now, here's since we're here, you'll see that I have all devices on their max brightness. And let's see. Yep, all on max brightness. Look, let's clear these. Oh my goodness. Clear. All right. And okay, so we're good. So yeah, and you'll notice, and I'm hoping that this is showing up on camera. Let me bring these down a little bit. I hope that this is translating to the camera for you guys to the video for you guys, but you can see that as far as brightness goes, I almost want to say I feel like the wallpaper may be making a difference. I've been using these foreign phones for too long, so I forget to long press on on the Pixel as opposed to the other where they have that pinch to customize. So let's do this. Unlock. It's crazy trying to keep all these things unlocked. So let me turn off these theme icons so we can see the actual brightness here. Apply. I forgot you have to apply it. So yep, let's turn that off so we can see the brightness on all devices. So it's somewhere between these two. I'm almost leaning towards the Pixel as far as brightness goes. Once again, I'm just using my eyes. I don't have any tools to measure peak brightness or whatever, so I have them all turned up. But I'm leaning towards the Pixel as far as the brightest, and then second the Vivo. In the third, I would say considerably in third is the Oppo Find N5 as far as brightness goes. Simply because it just, when you're in direct sunlight, especially looking at the main, this not the main screen, but the front display, you get quite a bit of glare. Now, Oppo did do something on this inner display that helps quite a bit. I don't know, they have some type of anti-reflective coating on here. I mean, ever so slight, but I mean, not quite Samsung Ultra, S25 Ultra, S24 Ultra, or whatever. But they do have some type of anti-reflective coating on there, and you can see it. Even when you have both of these devices on, you see how that glare shows up from my lights. You see, it's somewhat dimmer on here. They did something here, so that helps quite a bit on the main screen. But the outer display is really is rough when it comes to direct sunlight. And this one, while it does not have any anti-reflective coating on it, it gets so crazy bright, and the Pixel's the same way, that it does help a lot when you're in direct sun. So yeah, so let's say overall, I kind of jumped to the brightness because I started looking at the screens and stuff like that. But let me wrap up the hardware piece. So overall design, I'm going to have to give it to the Oppo and then the Vivo. But you can tell my Vivo is taking a little beating because I was using this thing so heavily. And the cases that I was buying for it just was not, they were not great. So I just had to resort to rocking this thing just no case on it. And it's taking quite a beating. But even with that being said, let's come out of that. Even with that being said, the Oppo is going to be first because they just refined this so much to where this thing feels almost like a regular phone. Is so thin. And I know that we were talking a lot on social media about we really hate this race to be the thinnest device or whatever, but we also have to keep in mind the average consumer, not enthusiasts, but the average consumer. The closer you get these foldables to feeling like a regular phone, the more likely they are to buy. They are going to buy the device. So I feel like we kind of blew that out of proportion. We're talking about, I wish they weren't going so thin because they're having to cut back on hardware choices as far as the cameras go and so on and so forth, and speakers and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But I will tell you just from using this thing regularly that, I mean, while it does have this really solid feeling to it, it's getting really close to feeling like a regular phone, which is insane. Like when I let my friend hold this phone, he has an iPhone 15 Pro Max or whatever, and that thing is heavy. That thing feels like a brick. And he held this and he was like, this is crazy. So he was really impressed with this device, especially in comparison to that phone. So, all right, so moving on from hardware, and actually wrapping up hardware. First, second, third. And I've mentioned the reasons why this one falls in last place. It just, I don't know what. Now I will say that, and I have to give them credit, this inner screen is huge and brilliant. I mean, it's really nice. If I had to just, now, if I were just relying on this inner screen, I feel like this one almost would have won first place, or at least tied for first place. Let me see. Man, I think all of these were just great inner displays. But anyway, so moving on to software. And here's where things get a little tricky for me because Color OS is a really, really good OS, but I have to subtract points from it simply because here in the US, you can't utilize all of the features, and you have to I mean, you can't ignore that. I'm doing pretty good at ignoring it in my day to day life, but for like people watching this video, I just want them to be aware that there are going to be things that you can't utilize just like naturally. Like for instance, I have Gemini on here, and it does work, but you have to activate it via the app. You can't use the code words to get it to pop up and then just suddenly start listening to you. You have to go in and activate it, and then you have to click on the mic and so on and so forth. And I'll even circle the search. It, if you long press, it brings up the AI on here, and you could type or you could talk to it, which is I think that's called Brino. But circle to search does not work. Circle to search works on every other device here. And keep in touch. I mean, keep in touch. Keep in mind that this is the global version of the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro. So it has like the full Google suite active from the very beginning. So here's how I'm going to rank these. As far as just software and it being solid to use, this is hard because I really feel like Google has refined their software so much, and they have these different like little treats in their software, from the call filtering to the circle, just how well things work, just natively on this device, built in circle to search, uh, voice activation, just all these little AI tools built in where they feel like they really make them usable and not just and much less of a gimmick. Now, I'm sure that this one has an abundance of AI features. I just cannot use them here in the US, so that's why I'm gonna have to drop. Man, ColorOS. It's so good, but it just I can't utilize all features. So I'm not gonna drag this out. Google is gonna come first because it feels like the most complete package to a US user. FunTouch OS is gonna come in second because once again it feels like the complete package. Now the customization is much less on here. It just feels really basic. Oh, and I forgot to mention that on the Pixel, you're gonna get your monthly updates within the first week, if not the second week of the month, on the Pixel on schedule, like regularly. FunTouch OS is weird. Like I still haven't been able to predict when my OS update is gonna come. It's just really weird. And ColorOS seems to be regular, but I haven't had enough time with it to say that when they're gonna come. But I know for a fact the Pixel comes the first week and may spill over a little bit into the second week, but they're gonna come within the first half of the month. These are weird to me right now. I'm still trying to get familiarized with FunTouch OS. I'm just as far as update go, it's just they seem sporadic to me, so I can't really say for sure. But anyway, uh, complete package, complete package with less customization. Just it feels really dialed down and boring to me. And then ColorOS with all the customization that you get with this device, you can create your own icons and so on and so forth. It really has a lot of customization. So it's only falling slightly out of second, ever so slightly. It's slightly inching into third, only because I can't use the full suite. That is the only reason. Otherwise, ColorOS is an extremely solid OS. It's really working its way up to becoming my favorite, actually. So software out of the way. Oh no. This kind of falls into software slash hardware. I'm thinking more so hardware, but anyway, let's touch on these fingerprint readers. Oh my goodness, I never realized how much I genuinely dislike power button fingerprint readers because I am left-handed and I may be able to set up my hand to work with maybe this finger to where to read it naturally, but I always find myself having to hold the phone here to unlock it. And I can always do face unlock, I get that, but I feel like the fingerprint reader is more consistent on these devices. What happened was I ended up getting this Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, and it absolutely spoiled me rotten. Fingerprint reader here, not only there, but here as well. So if I have this thing open and I want to unlock it with the inner screen, I could choose. So I didn't even miss it on here. I could do both here, here. I'm like, I mean, it feels so natural, so so well thought out. These I feel excluded because I feel like it's for right-handed people, and like I said, I maybe and I just haven't done it. But it just doesn't feel right for some reason. I don't know why. So that's my biggest gripe with these. And you accidentally, for me, I will trigger this, and what'll happen is I'll do it so many times that it'll end up locking me out and saying, "Hey, you need to type in your code to reactivate fingerprint and face unlock," and that has driven me insane on multiple occasions. But I'm like, I mean, while it's not a big deal to just type in your code real quick, it's still a slight inconvenience. So that's really bothered me quite a bit. So when it comes to fingerprint and security, I'm going to have to give it to the Vivo first. And then these two just kind of tie for second because they're both fingerprint readers. While I will say that the Oppo put their buttons really, really high for some reason. While if you look at these side by side, their fingerprint readers are almost in the exact same place. While I would say button orientation is kind of weird because they put the fingerprint reader on top on the Pixel, which is different from almost every other device on the market, which is really weird. So sometimes I find myself trying to hit the volume rocker because it's the bottom button, and I realize, oh yeah, I'm on a Pixel, and I have to hit the power button up at the top to unlock it with my fingerprint. So yeah, that's my whole rant about that. I really wish that they would start putting fingerprint readers in the screen because Vivo absolutely killed it with this decision. I mean, just absolutely. And then the other piece was, I mean, I'm going back to hardware again, so I'm sorry about that. Just all over the place. The volume rocker. Now, both devices, the Vivo and the Oppo, have it, while the Pixel does not. But Oppo takes it one step further, where you can fully control your alert slider. So on the Vivo, you have silent and you have sound. Simple. I mean, that's that. I mean, straightforward. So on the Oppo, you have a like two-step or three-step, however you want to say it, but you have volume. You can turn your ring all the way on your alert slider. Then you can do vibrate, and then you can do completely silent. You can completely control that here. While on the Vivo, you will have to. You can turn silent off, which you have your sounds and everything, but then you turn silent on. But you have to go in and turn it to vibrate. Which I mean is another step, but I mean you get a little more here than you do on the Pixel. You get quite a bit more than you do on the Pixel, but you do get the full suite here where you can just control what you want to go with. You want to go sound, you want to go vibrate, you want to go completely silent. You're in a meeting and you don't want to be disturbed. On the Pixel, I will give them credit. They put everything here to where you could choose which one you want to go to, but it does rely on you turning the screen on and looking at it. When this thing could be in your pocket, you can just slide all the way down, turn your ringer on all the way off, or put it on vibrate or whatever. You just reach in your pocket. And it's the same here. But yeah, that's the other thing. I really appreciate the two-step. Now they did remove it on the Oppo Find X8 Ultra and put like a action button there or whatever they want to call it, whatever quick setting name they want to give it. But yeah, I really wish they hadn't removed the alert slider. I really have become accustomed to that, and I really appreciate it. So anyway, back to software. I will say that as far as software goes, let me actually close this up because I only have a limited amount of space here. Actually, I'm going to do them one at a time. So I will say, as far as multitasking, I feel like Oppo has really nailed this very well because you have these windows here, and let me open that up and just hope nothing crazy pops up. You see that you have this I think it's called boundless or edgeless window here, but it's really such a nice feature. And then what you can do is, let's say you want to make one of these apps bigger. Let's make YouTube bigger. You could do full screen, and nope, I think I did it wrong. Let me try it again. Let's close that. Open that back up, and let's do expand. And what it'll do is it'll pop this one down to the bottom and make it almost full screen. And then you click back up here to go to the top. Come on. That's so cool. And then you click back down here to bring this back up. This video looks insane. I have no idea what's going on there, but I'll check it out in a minute. So that's really cool, right? So on the Vivo, you can also save multiple windows. Let me open it up actually. And it works fairly well. And you can even do, I feel like you could do a third app. All right, guys, I'm back. So I could have sworn that you could pull up a floating window on here. I almost feel like I've just simply forgotten how to do it. It's blowing my mind right now, and I can't figure it out. But anyway, I feel like Oppo has really nailed the multitasking, while I feel like Vivo and Pixel are going to take second on this, simply because now you can save app pairs on the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which is pretty cool. And you can pull that up, and let's see if you could do a floating window. See, I feel like you just can only cover another screen. So I feel like you still cannot do floating windows on the Pixel device, which is odd to me, but it is what it is. So the Pixel 9 Pro Fold and the Vivo are going to take second place, while the Oppo has really nailed it. And I think you can trick. I think someone told me that you could actually trick the Oppo into, like, if you open a floating window. Let's see. Let's see, Discord. Now, if you have that as a floating window, then you can go one step further and open up the other three and just have you could go crazy if you have some use for that, which I don't necessarily, but yeah, if you want to go that route, you have the option there to trick it into open up a fourth app, which is really impressive. So let's close all of that. See, three dots, close. Okay, so multitasking, Oppo takes it in this bout. Now, I will say I believe that Samsung has something very similar. Not, I won't say edgeless or boundless view or boundless, whatever they call it. I really don't remember the fancy names that different companies put on their features on their phones, but Oppo is first place. These are going to be tied for second as far as like multitasking goes. We could jump into cameras a little bit, and I'm going to put my finger here for the fold. So, as far as, I'm going to say this with a caveat, because the Vivo does have this weird way of handling their cameras. Now, I will say that while this is my favorite foldable camera, even still to this day, it does behave weirdly. Like, let's see if I can show you guys without my pixels sliding all over the place. It's gonna make me move it over to the side. But anyway, if you go into your camera and you turn it around, no. Better yet, if I do this, like if I want to use the main sensor as my selfie camera, it's gonna go here. And which is fine. You can use your sensor for that. But what happens is, let's do that. What happens is, let's say you want to do video and you want to do 4K 30. You cannot do that on this device. It only locks it at 1080p, even if you're using the main camera. And that's something software related, I feel like. It's really weird. But other than that, if you're using the main sensor as a point and shoot, this is still my favorite camera by far. Second place is going to be, that's tricky. It's going to be either the Oppo or the Pixel, because they do take really good photos, except for if you want to go ultra wide. I feel like they fall short to me. But my overall camera experience, if I'm just pointing and shooting here, if I do want to do selfies, this is an 8 megapixel selfie, and I think the Pixel is going to be the largest selfie sensor. I'm not 100% on that, but I do prefer the selfies out of the Pixel over the other two. They just behave oddly to me. But, oh man, actually, the more I talk about it, it's tricky because I do prefer this one could do macro photos as well, not as well as like a slab phone, of course. But when you go into the Pixel, I'm not even sure. Yeah, it has. So yeah, you could do macro on here, but I think my favorite macro shot is still gonna come out of the Vivo. But overall, if I had to rank these phones, and then I'll go into like what my perfect phone would be like. So if I had to rank these phones from first to third, it, okay, I'll say it like this: the Oppo Find N5 is going to be first place for me, only because it feels like the complete package as far as the hardware and software and just complete package. Alert slider, everything. In second, only because it doesn't have Origin OS on it. If it had Origin OS, I feel like this one would have came up the first for me because I feel like it has the fingerprint readers, the alert slider, great brilliant screens, um, crazy brightness, my favorite camera on the device, and only because I don't rely on selfies a lot, I don't take a lot of selfies. That's only why I feel like I would put this one in first. If it had Origin OS, but it's going to be in second. I'm going to put the Pixel in third because, like I said, Google made great strides, but they still have some work to do as far. All right, I was recording too long, but anyway, the Pixel is going to be in third simply because of their hardware, um, and I'll say software to a certain extent. Their software is amazing and very well built. They've really found their stride, but this hardware is lacking. And when you open this phone up, it makes me a bit nervous because of like issues people have had online with their screens cracking when you open them more frequently than I feel than these other two. And Google support is not the friendliest. Now, I mean, I've imported these phones, so I'm not really gonna have any support on these. So I guess that's not fair to say. But this one just gives me this sense of nervousness. It's hard to convey when I'm just talking about it, but it does give me this sense of nervousness when I open it. So first, second, third. Now, real quick, I'm gonna wrap this video up, but I'm gonna talk about my perfect device. My perfect device, foldable wise, would be a phone with great cameras all around, from selfie to main to telephoto to ultra wide. Even though I don't use ultra wide a lot, I think that would just be the perfect foldable phone with a great thinness. I mean, even if you go Vivo thinness over Oppo, well, I feel like this is like really incredibly designed, waterproof, so on and so forth. Um, Even if you were to go this thick with the device, but still have great cameras and um, keep the alert slider, put the fingerprint readers in the screens, please, please, um, and take them off of the power buttons. While it is a choice, I'm not a fan of it. And then display, the brightness. The Oppo has decent brightness, but I really wish that it would get as bright as these other two. So yeah, I think that would be my and then maybe let's go as far as to say I would prefer to have Color OS on my foldable device, um, with some way to make Google AI or Gemini your default AI assistant. I think that would be my perfect device. And of course, have an Android Auto. They all have Android Auto. So for anybody that may ask that in the comment, does the Oppo have Android Auto? It does, and it works just fine. Um, yeah, as well as Android Auto works anyway on any device. I mean, goodness gracious, Android Auto, that's a whole different thing. It's so weird how it behaves. But anyway, perfect device. Fingerprint readers and screen, alert slider, great cameras throughout the device, even on selfie and ultra wide. I know a lot of people don't use ultra wide, so they use the space that they would use to contribute to ultra wide. Large ultra wide sensors are really well built ultra wide sensors. They use that for other things in the phone. Just go ahead and throw it in there for the people that do use ultra wide. Just because I'm not one, don't think that I wouldn't like to have a decent option. Um, anyway, moving forward before I rant too much, great inner displays. I think all fold, well, not all, but most really, really top tier foldables, because they do have some budget friendly foldables. The top tier foldables all have really good inner display screens, and large. So yeah, that's a giving. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If there was anything that you didn't that I didn't cover on any of these phones, feel free to drop a comment and ask me. I try to respond to comments as quickly as I can. I know sometimes it takes me a little while, but I do try. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I can't express that enough. I really appreciate you tuning in and dropping comments, likes, subscriptions, everything. I really appreciate everything. So feel free to drop by and show some love and drop a comment. Anything you want me to cover or mention or you just want to answer to, just drop a comment. All right. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me to the end, and I will catch you in the next one. Later.